I am your host, Nicole Will, and we thank you for joining us as we navigate the world with your aging loved one. We are here to come alongside elders, family members, and the senior living community as we explore the world of aging and elder care with helpful resources, informative interviews, and approachable conversations. We get to do this together, so join us on our journey, and this is the willGather podcast. How do we measure mood? How do we measure emotional well-being? Now there's a wonderful new answer to that. Solo is a well-being assistant for the older adult in your life. It is interactive and contactless, and we're going to talk all about that. It is driven by data and uses AI technology. And today we get to hear from Roy Tal, who is the founder of Solo. And this company helps families, volunteers, therapists take care of those loved ones in their lives. We are so looking forward to this interview and hearing all about their experiences serving more than 30 communities throughout the world, including Israel, Japan, and the United States. Here is Roy. Hi, Roy. I am so happy you can join us. I was introduced to you by some women that I really, really respect what they're doing and value their recommendation. And we got to meet, and I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Nicole. It's also two women that I really adore and like. So it's a great intro that they did, and I'm happy to meet you. It's exciting.
Oh, they are wonderful. And those are the best introductions, right? When it comes from people that you really value their opinion and recommendation. So
Indeed.
can you tell us your story? What led you to thinking about this and wanting to implement it with our older adults?
Sure, my pleasure. So actually, my journey with the older adults in the older adult space started 5 years ago. And it literally started from the simple, very egoistic fact that I wanted to be a better grandson to my late grandma Shula, that was her name. And myself, I do come from a background of music entrepreneurship. I had like a record label. I was the true not rock star, but the rock musician with the hat banging and everything. So coming to my grandma, I saw that maybe music can be something that improves her health. So this is really for me what was my aha moment, and we started listening to music together, almost on a weekly basis. And all of a sudden, really, she became more vivid, more active, more emotionally happier. So for me, it was an amazing revelation that led me to this life journey that's now called Solo.
I'm so glad that you did. What was your grandma's favorite music? Does she have a favorite?
So that's a great question. She really liked Israeli music and also Yemeni music, which is very like happy and speaking about reminiscence and music from our past. There's a lot of clinical trials done and research done in this music therapy area that speaks that there's like a memory bump between the ages of 16 and 27, where people really remember the music from their youth. And the obvious and non-obvious reason is because a lot of the first experiences happen in those ages, like first love, you move out of your house, high school. In Israel, it's like military. So she really liked music that reminded her of her childhood. And was amazing for me because I got not only to listen to music with her, but also got a lot of very, very, very interesting stories about my dad, about my grandpa. So it was an amazing experience.
Music brings out so many emotions, but so many memories. I can remember where I was when I heard, one of my favorite songs and first concert, and it just does put you in those different life stories and situations that are so meaningful.
Definitely, it's so meaningful, and I think it's one of the arts. And I'm a big music fan. Again, my entire life I did different stuff with music, but music is one art that really takes, and I think most arts, because you can listen to music in the cinema, you listen to music when you watch TV, you listen to music when you drive, you listen to music when you dance. So it's like something that really you can consume, and I try to consume music 24/7. You listen to music when you fall asleep. So it's an amazing thing. And also in terms of the cultures, everybody likes music. Like when I give lectures about the power of music, I ask in the room back in the days when it wasn't a Zoom room, but an actual room, who in the room here likes music? And of course, all of the people raise their hands, and it's amazing feeling to have that in one room.
It is. It's so universal and connects us so much. Music is so healing.
It gives a lot of feeling, and I think it's also giving us spiritual feelings because when you go to church or when you go to a synagogue or to the mosque, you sing, and it's all related to music. So I think the power of music really relies on the mood and the emotion and how it can provoke and positively manipulate emotions in such a way that really it's much better than having medicine. Like when we created Solo, we said it's not prescription medicine, it's prescription music. Like I give you now to listen to three Stevie Wonders, one Beatles, five Pearl Jams, and and you'll feel better. Believe me.
So true. So you really took your music background, your love of music, your relationship with your grandma, and came to connect it with your technology background and created Solo. What is Solo? How does it work?
Of course. So Solo is an emotional well-being assistant for older adults. And the reason we call it an assistant because it's really something that's there 24/7 for you. You can operate it alone by yourself, like a self-activity. And Solo uses an important thing called face recognition. And most of us know it from unlocking our Android or iOS apps. But this is something that can do much more. So we've managed to create artificial intelligence that uses the camera of the device, mobile, tablet, whatever you want to use. And this is something that enables us the ability to know if you have a positive mood, negative mood, high energy, low energy. Are you relaxed? Are you happy? Are you calm? Are you sad? Are you angry? So we scan the face of our users. Of course, it's all private, it's all protected. And then we match them with the right well-being videos. So it can be the right music video for this mood that you're in today. It can be a right karaoke track. It can be virtual travel, seeing Jerusalem or seeing Paris Champs-Élysées, listening to French music. So this entire thing enables us to really improve the well-being of older adults. But we not only analyze and improve, we also monitor. So we provide for communities like a dashboard that they can literally see the emotional well-being of the residents or the members or the staff members. Are they feeling better today? Are they feeling worse this week? So this power of emotional well-being app, very simple, very fun, but with a lot of data-driven knowledge, is something that we have managed to create in this world. And it's all fun, non-invasive. It's not like taking medicine or pills or antidepressant. It's even better.
And we're really, I feel like, as a society, looking for those. What are those things that we can do that aren't pharmaceutical necessarily because the side effects that can maybe go along with that? And while that can be really beneficial and add a lot of value, we are wanting to add in things that also bring life and healing in different ways. Senior living facilities face some challenges, and families are at times overwhelmed with trying to meet those needs. What are some of those challenges that communities are facing, families are facing to meet those needs of the older adult in their life?
I think that one of the challenges nowadays, especially in COVID, of course, is loneliness, which leads a lot of the times to depression. The depression rate in long-term care or senior care communities is almost 48% of the residents. So it's 1 out of 2 residents who report feeling depressed, mild, severe depression. And this is a huge challenge, especially when the families are not able to visit or where you cannot do group activities in most of the communities. So you need something that all of the members in the community can use. They can use it by themselves. They can use it something that improves their emotional well-being. But the tough thing about it is it's very hard to improve emotional well-being. Because first of all, how do you measure emotional well-being? You can go to each room and ask, "Hey Donna, are you feeling okay? Are you happy? From 1 to 10, tell me, are you sad?" That's nice, but that's not really quantifying emotions. And the second thing is, of course, the workforce. In a perfect world, there will be a 24/7 music therapist and a mindfulness instructor and a professional activity aid to each resident in North America. But this is not feasible, as we know. And the third challenge is, of course, the technology. Older adults do foster and engage technology in an amazing way, but you need to keep it very, very simple and also to do it very, very easy and fast. And these are, I think, the three challenges that now the world of emotional well-being suffer from, or these are the challenges, and we try to really tackle and help it using Solo in many, many ways.
Emotions can be really hard to identify. So, right, as humans, that that is challenging for us to always pick up on that. If you could explain in more detail, how does tech like Solo measure that emotional well-being? We've got these nuanced expressions that we have. And how does AI measure that better than humans do?
Course. So I think the basic of understanding artificial intelligence, it's that it's really like intelligence, but artificial. I didn't update anything about the knowledge of people about AI. It's like having one music therapist or one, again, activity professional sit in front of you. This is, let's say, a human intelligence, but having artificial intelligence, it's like having 1,000 music therapists or activity professionals sit in front of you and really see every micro expressions in your face. And this is the reason that we use artificial intelligence. And the artificial intelligence actually scans your face and it can notice micro expressions. Micro expressions, it's not like having a Joker face and okay, everybody knows that he's happy or she's sad because she has tears in her eyes, but really noticing the mouth, the head, the dimples, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the lip, every single thing about or every single muscle in your face, and translating it into seven main emotions. And this is what we do: sadness, anger, surprise, happiness, calmness. These are the seven main emotions that are reflected in every culture the same, every demographic the same, in every country and nationality in the world. And this is why we chose those seven emotions. And because we work in Japan and in Israel and in North America, this is something that algorithm catches, and it can also translate it and analyze it in real time, over time, and in an objective way. And this is something that really artificial intelligence enables today, the ability for a community with 200 residents to measure it every time they want to.
And we'll talk more about kind of the data behind it. It's so efficient, right? Because you've got such a great way to engage with each resident, even though we don't have the manpower necessarily to do that. What's the ideal setting or setup? Is it that smartphone? Is it a tablet? What's your recommendation for that?
So the best thing or the best practices to use it is having an iPad stand, not to hold it in your hand for 15, 30, 45 minutes. And because it's a mobile solution, so we definitely see a lot of use cases where the member or the resident uses at their own bed in the room. It can be something as a wellness pod or a stationary in the lobby where people can approach it and use the Solo app. And we also have it like a version on wheels, Solo on wheels, where one of the community professionals can take it with him and go room by room and enable this Solo session to each resident. And this way, I think that the comparison to an assistant and not an app, because again, speaking about challenges, now the challenges with turnover, with training, with a lot of different aspects that, again, artificial intelligence help us do better in larger scale, like you mentioned, in a more efficient way, and also very, very in a very short period. Like for us, in 20 seconds, Solo can identify your mood levels, your energy levels, levels of sadness, anger, many, many aspects, and this really saves time.
Which is so important, where time is so valuable. And you talked about how having that iPad stand in different communities and those wellness pods, I love that idea. For families that are maybe caring for their loved one in their home, how can they facilitate that for their loved one? It really is universal. You probably use it in every setting.
Definitely. It's universal and you don't necessarily need a tablet or stand. I think that every home has, something that can turn in a creative way to a smartphone stand. I have here in my room books that I can use it as a stand, or many kitchen many kitchen appliances that can be used as a smartphone stand. And the important thing is really engaging this and really explaining it to the older adult. And they know today how to use technology. They're not afraid of it. It's like having anybody use an app. And this is why the solo app is not a teenager app with an adaptation for older adults, but it has the older adults in mind from A to Z. It was created by professionals for professionals, and this is why we believe it's a good thing to have.
And the value also is really in the data and that concrete information. What data are you able to draw out? And then how do you use that data in communities to improve care?
Sure. So when using the app, the older adults or the users actually feel that they have a very intelligent, smart AI music app or well-being video app. But the back end of this, the data underneath, is very, very not complex, but very deep. And when using the session, we collect, in a 15-minute session, we collect over 7,000 anonymous data points. And this is a lot. And this is all of this is to improve and really understand the emotions of the users, but not to sell ads to our users. We're a good company. We want to take this data for good. We want to improve the experience and to select the content they view in a more intelligent way. So the first time you will hear Frank Sinatra, we will collect the data, but the second time we will recommend you Frank Sinatra based on what you experienced while listening to Frank Sinatra. And that's a very innovative thing. As for the data, we capture data that contains happiness moments, calmness moments, emotional moments, energy levels, and mood levels. And this is something that can be used in many, many different variations. First of all, as the care plan, if you want to validate how is the person feeling, so the dashboard can really enable you. Secondly, you can show it to the families. Hey, your father, your loved ones are actually enjoying because they collect happiness points while they are using solar in our community. And the third thing is to show them trends, because it's a daily repetitive routine. So we can say, hey, today we felt this person, David, is less calm than yesterday, or this week he was happier. So notice it. And we're also now integrating in the next few weeks to point click care, which will really enable this combination with medical records and seeing the effects of this intervention method in a whole different variety. So this is the data that we're collecting, and this is how we put it into use, and why we consider it a value-based outcome solution, because it doesn't only show you happy people, which is amazing, but in a quantitative way.
I could see how communities would absolutely want to adopt this technology. You're able to garner so much information that could be really helpful. I think it could point to different mental health concerns, potentially, even physically, if you're in pain, right? Your facial expressions can be really affected. It affects everything. So, really looking at the data to improve that care.
Definitely. And also the very, fun thing of seeing who's the happiest resident in the community. Or when we are working with, several communities, and we can compare the happiness levels in different locations. Who is more happier? Who is calmer? Who have participated and engaged this week? And also what people are actually enjoying, because we know which content, so we can create like a billboard in the community of top 10 happy songs by this community. And it's really creating a lot of activities that surround the actual uses of the solo app in a fun, again, automatic, very simple app that provides a lot of knowledge and a lot of meaning.
You talked about how one of the problems that you see and why you really wanted to create this was addressing that loneliness factor and that caregiving. And out of curiosity, I think it would be really interesting to hear. given that you are in Israel and Japan and now North America, what are some of those like differences or caregiving concerns based on those different locations?
So it's a very interesting thing, and I think it starts with the demographic and really the proportion size of that specific population. For instance, in Israel, the average kids per family, I think, believe in, about 3.2. So about three children per family. In Japan, it's one child per family. So imagine, the taking it 60, 70 years ahead, you have one child taking care of two adults, his mother and father. In Israel, the proportions are really, really different. So Japan now is struggling with the entire family caregiving issue because they have more older adults than teenagers or young people. And that creates a lot of burden on family caregivers, on families in general, on hospitals, and on nursing homes. So they have an issue, really an issue, how to take care of them in their own surrounding, because you cannot have all of the older adults in Japan go to nursing home. Otherwise, you will need tens of thousands of nursing homes, and you cannot do it in Japan. So this is one thing. And also in terms of the emotional aspects in Israel, and people ask me this quite a lot, you're measuring happiness, but happiness is different. It portrayed differently in Japan and differently in Israel and differently in North America. Happiness is portrayed and reflected the same. What changed is the intensity of the happiness, the intensity of the smile, the duration of the smile. And Japan has a lot of different challenges surrounding emotions. How do you portray emotions? Are you introvert or an extrovert? So a lot of meaningful thing that really on analyzing emotions, understanding emotions. So I think the demographic and the emotional issue in Japan is really, really challenging. And in Israel, we have different challenges. You can have in one nursing home in Israel 35 people in one room that come from different 35 nationalities, cultures, they speak the different languages. So it creates like a melting pot and a lot of challenges when you go to the how do you select music for so many people. And this is why I think that in general, in technology, you need the personalization aspect in order to really help so many people.
When we talked about with your grandma, that music was really specific to her history and her past that she could identify with. So, having that, if you've got so many people of different backgrounds and coming together, being able to personalize that can be really, really helpful and meaningful for them.
It's very meaningful, and I think it also really helps the staff in the nursing homes, because for example, we have a Jewish community using the solo app, and the music therapist in this community doesn't speak Yiddish or doesn't speak Hebrew, but the people in the community really like this music. So when solo was not created but was let into this community and they started using solo, one of the main things that this music therapist told us, listen, now I'm able to give them the music and the videos that they want to enjoy, because I don't know Hebrew, I don't know Yiddish, but solo does. And this really enabled him to create a personalization with the technology in mind. So this is again one, we spoke about artificial intelligence. So one very important aspect of artificial intelligence is the ability to personalize to every need.
For instance, long-term care community has a state survey where whatever state you're in, they come in and they survey records and different things and make sure things are happening the right way. That's like my gist of summing it up. And under recreation activity side, part of that survey is looking at, are we individualizing programming based on that resident's personal preferences? So not only is it a really, and you can't see my air quotes on audio, but is Is it really right? A nice thing to have music that they like, but really it is actually a requirement and a regulation that we have to personalize and individualize.
Definitely. I think that we can all agree that every person in the world is different, and every older adult and every resident is different. And not only different in terms of nationality, but also in terms of the cognitive condition and the mental health and the physical condition. So I think that when we target or when we approach a senior care community, we know that in this community we can have somebody who is like healthy aging older adult, and somebody who has MCI, and somebody with dementia, and somebody with severe dementia, and even in palliative care, in hospice care. So the ability to really personalize and to address every single need in a changeable and adaptable way, because maybe your need on Monday is not your need on Tuesday, and your mood changes, and we need to change it accordingly. So really the technology and artificial intelligence, but general technology and solo really enables this change in what you need. Okay, I'll give it to you. And also in terms of scale, like if you have 200 residents with 200 different conditions, 200 different needs, 200 different languages, only technology, I believe, can really answer all of these needs in a fun and not create burden on the staff, because they work really hard. They have a hard work. They do amazing work. And when we come to a community, we don't want to create more work for the professionals or for the staff. We want to help them. And this is why when we introduced Solo, we said, this is your new staff member. Use it. If you need to help with agitation with one of the residents, have Solo help him. If you need to wake somebody up and bring their energy up, use Solo. And more examples on pain management and more, how this technology can really help.
Yeah, it really increases that productivity.
It increases the productivity, and one of the things that we ask every professional using Solo in the communities: were you able to engage in other tasks while the resident was using Solo? And 100% is yes, we were. So it makes them more productive. And also on a community level, for the administrators, we say one of our goals, key factors, is to save you money. And when Solo is used in the community and he's having his own sessions with the residents, and when Solo costs 20 cents a day, it really also costs saves a lot of money for the community on the level of service, the personalization, and the ability to give this amazing service to the residents. So it's also an important thing.
One of my favorite things is hearing about, do you have like a fun success story where you've really seen people come to, and I'm sure it happens all the time, but is there one that stands out to you that you want to share with us?
Wow, I think that one I can share with you happened about 2 years ago, prior to COVID. It sounds like a fantasy prior to COVID, but it actually we had life before COVID. And in one of the nursing homes in Israel that was using Solo, um, one of the family members of the residents visited. But before she visited, we put Solo to this resident, and all of a sudden, she really brought to life and in a magical way, and started singing with Solo, started interacting with him, and really communicating with him. And when the family member arrived to visit, suddenly she sees from far her mother interacting, singing, almost dancing. And she brought to tears, and she told me, how did you do it? I'm trying for weeks to speak with her, to make her communicate with me, to make her do something, and I wasn't successful in this. And really, in this was a moment that I understood that sometimes the ability for music, personalized music, and the ability to do what we do enable this communication and recommunication with that amazing loved one. And that was the moment that I really saw. And another moment can be maybe when artificial intelligence was even stronger than the human intelligence, that we had a professional that said, and she was using the Solo app, and one resident was literally, listening to the same song all over again and again and again, and she saw the happiness meter go up. But she said, I'm not seeing that this person is happy. And using the artificial intelligence, we really was managed to show her that over time, this person became more happy from listening to that exact song. And she was blown away that she is a professional that studied really professionally how to treat and create a therapeutic approach with older adults. She was able to miss these micro expressions on the face of the older adults, and really the artificial intelligence got it.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you for sharing that. It just is like one of my favorite things, hearing all of the good things. Um, is this type of tech well adopted in older adult communities? What are you finding? Where do you hope that it leads us to in the future?
I think that there's no substitute for human touch. And people ask me a lot, wait, but will this replace my music therapist? Will this replace my professional, my activity professional, my activity aid? I say, no, heck no. We're not here to substitute or replace any human beings. I think there's no thing like the human touch and the human professionals. We're here to augment them and to supplement them. And I think the technology will need to really complement the abilities of the professionals in nursing homes. And I think that to really provide an holistic approach, you need a human being, you need the technology to work hand in hand, literally, to be able to really raise the bar and improve well-being and improve service and create a more personalized, more productive engagement programs for senior citizens. And I think this will be the future, not having robots instead of human beings going and trying to have weird conversations with the residents, but having both in the same room, having a music therapist, having a wellness assistant like Solo, and having this hybrid model of professionals in senior care settings.
The complementary way of working together.
Definitely. I think that's the future. You see it in other areas like the high tech or production or different manufacturing and many other things. And I think and believe and hope you will see more and more in the senior care space as people understand that older adults are very capable of using technology like any other sector. No ageism involved in this. They're really up to date with everything. They buy online, they listen to music online, they can use the technology. And this is where I think you will see the future of man and machine together, creating better environment and settings for older adults.
I agree. It's that working in tandem, utilizing both for the better experience.
Definitely.
Well, Roy, thank you for your story sharing with us. I really am looking forward to see how you grow, what happens. I'm cheering you guys on. Thank you for your time.
Nicole, it was my pleasure. You've been a great host, and really, I hope that as a life mission, we are able to improve the well-being for older adults because they are the most important people I believe in the world.
And where can people find out more about Solo?
Very surprisingly, we have a website. It's imsolo.ai, and they can really approach us if they want to experiment with the mood modifier and the emotion recognition and seeing it in action. And if they want us to have Solo as part of their professionals in the community, we would love that. And even to give them 30-day free trial to use it and experiment with this in their community.
Great. And we'll include all of that on our episode description so people can find you. Thank you so much, Roy.
Thank you, Nicole.
So, I have to tell you about Jimmy Zolo and his new company, Joe and Bella. Our paths had crossed, and I'm so glad they did. It was such a pleasure to meet Jimmy. He is passionate about older adults. He told me that after both of his grandparents moved into a care community, his family's world was turned upside down, and they really became caregivers overnight. As you know, being a caregiver to someone close to you is often overwhelming. There's so much for you to manage, even with the support of a care community. Like making sure your loved one has all of the products that they need and keeping them stocked when things run out, keeping inventory on what you have and what you don't. Jimmy also had that problem, and he was scrolling through all of these product reviews across the internet, and like most of us in the sandwich generation, we don't have enough hours in the day. It can feel really overwhelming and time-consuming and frustrating. We don't know what we're always looking for, and he wished there was a way to shop for his grandparents. Then the pandemic hit, preventing visitation to care communities, making this process even more difficult. So Jimmy decided to launch his own business to solve this problem. He founded Joe and Bella to make shopping for older adults simple. They carry everything from comfy clothes to creative gifts. They even have toiletries that can be automatically reordered and tech that makes caregiving easier. Everything all in one location. What I love, and I know you guys will love too, is that each and every product on Joe and Bella has been carefully selected by caregiving experts. Jimmy is so generous. He is giving an exclusive offer to our listeners of our podcast. You can use the promo code GATHER to receive 10% off your first purchase at joeandbella.com. That code is GATHER, GATHER, for 10% off at joeandbella.com. You don't want to miss this offer. Head to their website and check it out. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.